Hey everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another video. In this update, we're going to be talking about the tropics and how they're going to be kind of suppressed over the next 10 to 15 days. We kind of go into a lull and then it should really start ramping up, especially like the first week in October. And the area to watch is the Caribbean. So we'll be go over the reason why that's going to happen. So if you do like weather related content, please subscribe to my channel so you will get daily updates so you'll be able to plan ahead. So what we're looking at now is the overall satellite depiction of the tropics. Of course, the main story today was Tropical Storm Beta that just dumped a relentless amount of rain over Houston. I think Pearland got like 17 inches. It's basically crawling a lot, like what they call a coastal hugger, and dumping some flooding rains. I know Highway 288 was closed down for a good amount of time today, and that will actually swing off to the northeast. Now, for a time, there was actually a satellite picture that was pretty cool of Beta and Teddy, basically almost what they call like holding hands. They was all connected here in the satellite depiction. It was pretty cool. And then Teddy is basically like a superstorm that hit the Canadian Maritimes and a subtropical feature that'll move off to the east. And then Paulette, it was actually the first storm since 2004, since Ivan, that actually came back after a post-tropical and then reformed again. But that's actually going to be dying off and moving all to the east. And then we're going to be kind of going into a lull over the next week or two. The reason, we've got a Kelvin wave that's coming across from the Pacific to the Atlantic, and you can see all this orange feature is basically going to come and have a lot of suppressed air. So basically sinking air is going to be very difficult for thunderstorms to rise in what they call upward rising motion. So the conditions are not very conducive for tropical storm development over the next week or two. You can see the latest EPS probability guidance. It has this little feature here in the Caribbean. It's going to try to get going. Technically, this is actually some parts of the DNA from Sally that got caught up in a cold front here, swung off the southeast into the Caribbean. It's going to try to come back and develop. But again, that Kelvin wave is going to suppress the activity, and this should not be able to develop in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, if we continue on all the way through the end of the month, here's the latest EPS probability for September 30th. And you can see basically there's nothing out there. Everything's kind of suppressed. There's nothing to really even talk about as this kind of like, as we are in a kind of a maybe more or less a lull phase in the tropics. But if we continue on, you can see we go into October 1st and you can see the outlook, what it looks like 10 days from now. Again, there's not too much going on. This is the latest ensemble members of the EPS guidance, and there's technically not too much going on, but that's going to change in a big way as we get into the first week of October. And the reasons why are, we've got this very strong cold front that's coming. We've got the positive PNA. We got a negative NAO. We got a signal cold phase. Now, if we could only get this in the winter season, this would be a big time snow breakout for the Northeast. But it's only October. It's only September going into October. So, but we are going to be experiencing a really big cool down, and that cool down is actually going to extend all the way down into the deep south in the southeast and actually pull into the Gulf of Mexico. This is October 3rd. So what's actually going to happen is that's actually going to help pull and suppress the warmer Gulf temperatures down into the Caribbean and really going to amplify that area for tropical storm development. And that's the area that I'm going to be watching. So the reasons why is the MJO is going into what they call phase 5. Now that's basically, it's very conducive for eastern cold weather. And in the midsection of the country, it's very warm, it's very elevated. But that also, you have what they call convergence. If you have high pressure to the north, you look for lowering pressures underneath, and the Caribbean is the sweet prime spot where I'm going to be looking at for some tropical storm development. Now, another feature is the NOAA actually called us into a La Niña phase as of September 10th. And as we continue on, we'll be deepening into the La Nina phase and almost going into a 75% chance into the fall as we go into winter. That typically lowers the shear in the Atlantic. So there's no dust coming off of Africa this time of year. So in the combination of that, I think we still have a long ways to go before this tropical season is over with, because we still have a good, 45% left in the season. If it's anything like 2005, which were already 23 storms in, then they had 28, that actually lasted all the way into January. And we're literally going into a La Nina phase as of right now. So we're still in prime conditions for this season to be really elevated over the next 46 days. So this is the latest Euro weekly models, and it's kind of showing you the overall precipitation in the Atlantic and the Caribbean. And you can see this sweet spot over the next 46 days through November 6th. We really have above average elevated precipitation, showing you a prime area for tropical storm development. And that's typically where you kind of look for in October at this time of year, as these systems kind of develop and as they get pulled northward. Now, if we look at the overall global tropics as a whole, you can see the first week of the last week of September, it's pretty suppressed. There's not much going on like I showed you before, but as we get into the end of the month and the first week of October, we start to turn our eyes to more of an active phase deep down in Central America, deep down to the Caribbean, where I do think we're going to be in a prime spot for the next tropical storm development. Now, if you take a look at the latest EPS ensemble members, this is by October 4th. It's starting to show some sort of activity that's trying to get its act together, feeding off those warmer temperatures from that colder air that's pushed the warmer temperatures down into the Caribbean, starting to have some sort of spin-ups off these little tropical waves that come off the main development region. And these should start to amplify the tropics in a big way and come up into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, if we extend the view all the way into October 6th, this even amplifies it even further. Now, again, this time of year, we typically have these cold fronts coming in from the northwest. So these systems typically get pulled into the southeast or into Florida, if not up the northeast coast. So this is the area that we're going to be looking for the next possible potential hit for the United States. And if we take a look at what some would call fantasy storms, but I showed you the reasons why this model is actually showing what it's showing right now. The latest GFS model, of course, it's all the way through October 6th. Is a long ways out, but it's showing some sort of tropical development coming out of the Caribbean, going into the Gulf of Mexico. You do remember Michael in 2018. So we do have to watch this area for tropical storm development after we have a suppressed phase over the next 10 to 15 days. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you did find value in this video, please like this video, definitely comment and let me know what you thought. And please subscribe to my channel and definitely catch me in the next video where I protect you before and after the storm.